Hi! Have you ever wanted to start a 14-book fantasy series with each book over 500 pages? No? Me either, but guess what I'm doing? We're starting it. This is Eye of the World, the first book in the Wheel of Time series. I got about 200 pages into chapter, I think, 13, and then stopped. This was a while ago. This was like maybe 2020, maybe even earlier than that. I had not yet gotten into reading any sort of fantasy. The longest book I had ever read up until that point was probably like 500 pages. And this is 800 something pages. And also, I don't know if you can tell, but it's in a pocketbook format, and the text is really close together and small. That's really fun. Also, the first book in this series is, as I've been told, is more world building. Basically, people say the first book, yeah, it's boring, but you kind of have to read it to understand. But if you don't love the series by the second book, or some people even say the fourth book, that you should stop reading it, that you're not going to like it. In pursuit of wanting to be, declared as a true fantasy lover, I want to read one of the, most iconic series in the world of fantasy. And I saw, one review that was, it's very Tolkien-esque. So maybe he did take inspiration from that. I don't know. It has, a chosen one, the Dark One, which is literally the villain's name. It has some magic system, but as of right now, we're following children, and I don't really like reading children perspectives. The only time I will ever allow that to happen is Percy Jackson. So I'm really hoping in the next book that they're either teenagers or older than that, although I would doubt it. But also, this book, Robert Jordan, I forget his real name. Robert Jordan is just his pen name. He passed away in 2007, and Brandon Sanderson, who I talk about way too much on this channel, finished up, I think, the last 2 or 3 books in the series. And also just, the covers that have, the art on it. I think they're the newer ones. They just look really cool, and I really want to have said that I've read this series. I don't know why, I just want to, and this would be the longest book series that I've ever read if I do end up finishing the entire thing. I feel like I would have to read this series 3 books at a time, if that makes sense. I don't think I can sit down and just chug through the entire series in the next couple months. I think I need to take breaks in between, because this is very thick, heavy fantasy. Well, not heavy, I don't know how to describe it. It's just it's a lot. You might notice a theme that I love torturing myself on this channel by reading certain things that are really long. I feel like an 800-page fantasy book I can do, okay? Even if it's all world building and it's not that interesting in the first book, I can do that. Okay, I feel like if I read 100 pages, because again, I'm 200 pages in, so I only have 600 pages in. I'm not gonna yes, I read the 200 pages a while ago. I'm not gonna reread it. I'm not going to. I remember the majority of it, and I don't really care if I'm that confused. I might also do a Kindle Unlimited book. I don't know, though. It would probably have to be some sort of very light, either a short story or just there's this, I think it's sci-fi fantasy book that Pursue Project recommended for Kindle Unlimited readers who are looking for free books to read on there. And it looks very intriguing, and I've read a lot of really good books because of her, so, I might have to try that. Just feel like I'm not going to have the best time with this first book, so I need to have something else to cheer me up. I'm really, really hoping that I like the next book, because if I don't, this will be for nothing. Anyways, yeah, are all of these books yellowed like this? Oh, that's bad. That is. This is what happens when something sits next to a window on a dusty shelf. Is the pages turn to this color. Oops! So, I'm going to try and read 100 pages today, which means I will be at 300. So, okay. It's time to start a journey that I'm probably gonna regret. Hello, welcome back. I'm a 12-year-old now because of my hair. So there was a football game on tonight, and our TV glitched out, which was really fun. Sounded like the aliens were trying to talk to us. But anyways, oh crap. Now the book's name is like completely gone from my mind. I'm like 14 pages in to it's something with an empire. A thing to call empire. Oh gosh. So far all I really know is that it's in space and that there's this emperor and that they have to send these ambassadors to this person, and also that, you know, there's something about the empire going unchecked, so maybe something else happens in the future, but right now it's just the prelude. Again, only 14 pages in, don't know that much. It's interesting, but I have no idea if I'm going to be able to finish it this week, but I will tell you, I am on chapter 18 of Eye of the World, which is page 297. So technically I didn't read 100 pages today. I listened to chapter 17 on Audible. I got the audiobook version and I listened to it while I was working out. And tell me why the one chapter and also chapter 18 are both over 30 minutes. It took me like, I might just be a slow reader, I don't know. It took me like an hour to read 30 pages of this, and it, like, the text is like, it's not that bad, but it's also more compact than a regular book is. To correct some wrongs that I said earlier, they're teenagers, they're not children. They are written and sound to me like children. Maybe that's the point, is that you're gonna see them slowly become more mature and stuff. And also he did in the wiki, or at least the wiki said that he is inspired by Tolkien, so that's pretty cool. That's where the concept comes from. For anybody who's worried about me forgetting stuff in the first 200 pages, you were right, but I remember the majority of it now. It's a very interesting concept, and the little bits of actions that we are getting is really good. I think as I probably will get further in this series, or hopefully if I do get further in this series, it will become, I probably will really like it, because the action so far in this book is incredibly well written. Are my eyes red? They're not. I just look like a sociopath. It took me a lot just to get through like 70 something pages. Like, there were parts of it that I was like, oh yeah, I can't wait to keep reading. Like, I would be like, oh yeah, okay, this is cool. And then there were just long parts where it was just like, I do not want to keep reading this. So I can already tell that this is going to be a struggle, but I'm really hoping that it's worth it. Every single male character in this that is, like, the three younger guys in this are stupid. There's already, like, powers that are starting to present in this, but it's, like, very, like, it's touch and go the right thing, but it's, like, not really being shown. It's kind of like a preview of, like, hey, there's something here, but, like, you know, you don't quite know yet, and it's very interesting. Also, this book is like a brick. It has no flop to it. I've already damaged the spine opening it. Like, it doesn't... That's how far it regularly opens. I have to do that. Somebody just cringed when I did that. I'm really hoping that with the audiobook. It'll be easier to get through this book because I don't really want to force myself to sit down and read 100 pages all at once. So like maybe if I can set a goal of like, okay, I'm going to read until the next chapter, you know, or maybe like 70 or 80 pages or, you know, however, and then I can listen to the audiobook later. I think that's really going to help. I'm going to go suffer some more tomorrow. Well, hello. So something really fun. Last night I got like a sore feeling in my throat. And then today I woke up and I still had that. So I took cold medicine and I'm feeling better. But I'm probably gonna be sick, which is really fun. That probably means that since I'm staying home from the gym at night, I'm probably gonna be reading more, but not of Eye of the World, of the ebook, which I read like 20 something pages. I'm on like chapter 2, which is I think page 38 or something. It's called A Memory Called Empire. I forget the author's name. So far, it's just like a sci-fi as of right now. I don't really know where the like fantasy side comes in. I don't know if there is fantasy or if I just heard her recommending other fantasy books and just thought that this one was. I'm dumb, so sometimes I do that. I have a headache, so I didn't read that much, but so far, basically, there's this space empire that has a bunch of planets and different people and communities and stuff, and there's, at least as far as I know, there's like one main place where the empire is, and an ambassador that was there previously for this planet, I don't know how to pronounce the name or even if it is the right name for it, like Texacolan, I don't know. Their ambassador basically isn't there. Something mysterious has happened to the ambassador that was previously there, so now we have this new ambassador that's going there to discover why he, like, you know, why they need a new ambassador. And she also has an embed of him, like an image and like all of his knowledge and stuff, but it's 15 years old, and she's supposed to be melded with it more than she is as of right now, but she's not. It's not working the way that it's supposed to. But that's as far as I've gotten into it, and that's as far as I know. I'm very interested because I don't really know what counts as a space opera. I don't think that this counts as one, but I do love like sci-fi stuff, especially, you know, a lot of sci-fi is with space and stuff, so I always find that very interesting. And it's especially with the type of setup that it's in with the politics and stuff of this world, and how she's getting treated because she's from a certain planet. I'm hoping to keep reading it. It's 480 pages. I think last time I said it was like 470 something. It's not. Other than the first Murderbot book, that's the shortest ebook I've had so far. Anyways, on to the main thing that I'm reading. We have Eye of the World. I'm on page 398, so, you know, which is chapter 25. I read, like, I think the first either 3 or 4 chapters, and then the last 2 I listened to on audiobook. I don't really know what to recap. We're still traveling, and I think that's probably why this is one of the least, like, popular books in this series. As far as I know, it's like one of the least popular books, is because it's basically just them traveling to get to this place where they're gonna be safe, supposedly, which is fine because there's also action in it and it's well written, but it's still very annoying. And I do have to say, the character Matt, I really hope that he has like an arc of like maturity and stuff, and like becomes this like really responsible, really mature person that everybody looks to and stuff, because right now I want to punch him in his face. He is so dumb. And I understand you want to have the dynamic of like, you know, that he brings some stuff interesting because he's doing stuff that you're not supposed to, or is doing dangerous stuff, so it brings in these like action and plot stuff and stuff that's gonna mess things up later in line. I just wish that it didn't have to be through like one character or done this way, because it makes me so mad and hate his character specifically. You know, that's basically it. Is I'm just enraged by this one guy. And also the narrator, who when he switches voices, I don't know why it makes me laugh. I don't remember the narrator's name, but yeah, also on Audible, I don't know, maybe there is like an editing thing that you can do so it does page count as well. It only does chapters, like, so I can't stop in the middle of the audiobook and like have the page number and just put it there. I would physically have to search for the words that I had just heard in that chapter to try and find it, which is kind of really annoying. Like Audible, you shouldn't have to sync it to an ebook just to know where the pages are. You should have it be known in the thing. I think that's probably going to be the saving grace for this, is the fact that I have an audiobook, because otherwise I would not have gotten to almost page 400 in this. I'm debating having 2 days where I read 50 pages of this, like 2 days in a row, because I can do that because there's only 600 pages and I usually film these all the way until Saturday, so I could technically do that, so, and I would be okay having an extra day. See you tomorrow. I might be even more sick. I've had a sore throat before where I literally couldn't talk because it hurt so bad. Like I couldn't swallow food. I couldn't, like, even my own spit made my throat hurt really, like it made me want to vomit swallowing it. So I'm really hoping it's not like that, but see you tomorrow. I have such a bad headache right now. Oh, I just realized it looks like I'm wearing the same shirt as yesterday. I'm not. This is a different shirt. What do I have to update you on? So basically I tried to read, like physically read, some of Eye of the World. I read maybe a page and a half and my brain did not comprehend it at all, so I listened to 100 pages on Audible, and I will tell you that this audiobook has saved my life, because there is no way I would have read 100 pages today if not for that. The characters are still traveling, Matt's still being stupid. You know, we've had like some plot stuff explained and stuff, but it's also kind of, a lot of it is stuff that I could have already guessed or knew, so it's not really that like interesting. I mean, yeah, it's just traveling. That's literally it. They're just traveling. And the audiobook switched narrators to a female narrator for, I think Naveen is how you pronounce her name. And I was like, that's interesting. The book does switch perspectives. I don't know why I had it in my brain that each book was focused on a different character. No, it changes perspective throughout the book. I think I had that in my head because the first like 100 pages or 200 pages that I read were focused all on Rand. So yeah, I got that confused. But anyways, because I remember Eugene, I don't know how to pronounce her name. Egwena, I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'm so sorry. I remember her having a chapter earlier in the book, and I was very confused. I was just like, why is it Rand now? But guess what? It switches every now and then. It's really weird setup because there will be just like multiple chapters of one character, and then there will be like back and forth chapters. I'm at page 500 now, and I have a headache. Also, I don't know if I am sick. I just feel a little off. And I read up to page 100 of A Memory Called Empire, and let me tell you, I am having fun with it. It is basically devolved now into a kind of a murder mystery. It's basically her trying to figure out why her previous predecessor passed away, and people are trying to now kill her, and it's incredibly interesting so far. I think that I need to stop saying interesting, I'm so sorry. I like these types of books where it's like heavy into politics, and because she's an ambassador and she's dealing with all of this, figure out this new world because they speak a different language, and also just like she's never been a political person before, so she's trying to figure all this out, and she's having to figure it out with barely any help because of her predecessor's I can't pronounce anything today. I'm so people usually have a year to get this knowledge passed down from another person, and you basically meld with this other person, like their information, their habits, just like everything about them melds with you with this device that's in the back of your head connected to your brainstem. And she only had 3 months, and then this guy saw his own body, fried it, and then is now not there. So she's having a real good time right now. It's different from what I thought it was going to, and I'm saying that as I had no idea what I was getting into. From a space station who is now going to this planet to be an ambassador for her people so that they don't get annexed from the people ruling. And there's also other stuff happening with, because she lives in a spaceship or like a space center. There's stuff happening there too that's a mystery, so there's a lot that's happening that's like keeping you on your toes right now. But thank you, Audible, you have saved my sanity. I literally would not have I probably would have read maybe 50 pages today, and honestly I kind of might just listen to the audiobook for the rest of the time. Listen, I used to be one of those people that whenever I heard somebody say, oh, I listened to an audiobook, like, and I'm counting that as like a book, even though I don't have like the physical, or I didn't read it along on like Kindle and stuff. I was always like,
that's not reading a book.
I understand now, and I am saying I agree with the fact that it's reading a book. I'm sorry for ever saying that in the past. This is deranged. I've lost everything in myself. Bye. Hello. I didn't film at all yesterday. I also discovered that I'm dumb, which is probably not a new observation for you, but I think earlier I said something about 600 pages and being able to do like 2 days of reading 50 pages. I start these on Monday and end these on Saturdays. Do you know how many days that is? 6. How many pages do I have to read if I want to finish this book before the end of this video? 600! Wow. I'm dumb. I truly am. But I haven't physically read the book. I've only been listening to the audiobook, and I think last night I only read 50 pages of A Memory Called Empire. It's interesting. She has to kind of figure out why the person before her died, if she's being threatened, and why. It's very interesting. It's a murder mystery mixed with politics and stuff. I don't really know if it counts as a murder mystery. Who knows? Yeah, I only read 50 pages of that. I meant to read 100. Every time I read off of a screen, I get a headache. And I also just haven't had motivation to read recently. Maybe that's because of Eye of the World, but I don't really think so. I only have like 100 something pages left to either read or listen to. I'm probably gonna listen to it. And it's definitely just like a travel book, and he's using that as a way to explore this world and the different types of beings in this world, and kind of their relationship to different communities and stuff. And it's not so much world building as it is like putting out characters or like groups of characters for the next book. Only 100 pages more to go. Hello. So, first things first, I'm definitely not finishing A Memory Called Empire. I'm still at 150 pages. I haven't touched it at all. I've been, I guess, in a reading slump, more of just like tired, which I say in every single one of these. I finished The Eye of the World by Robert Jordan. I rated The Eye of the World 2 stars, which That's not me being like, this is so bad. It's just me being like, I'm probably going to rate the other books in the series higher. This book is gonna be worse than the other ones, so I don't want to, if I put 3 stars in another one, don't want it to be dampened by this. And also, I feel like that's a fair rating. Personally, for me, it just, I don't really know. I didn't really love it that much, which it makes sense. I was told that I was not going to, and it's, not something that's gonna drive me crazy because I didn't fully love it. It's written like a classic fantasy because it is a classic fantasy. It's basically just traveling throughout the entire thing, and then at the end you get like a big burst of action, and it's basically all this book is doing is setting up this world and these characters and their development with the different relationships in the books, setting it up for later ones. That's literally all this is, and personally that's why I gave it 2 stars, is because that's all that it is. It feels more like a prequel than it does the first book in the series. I mean, I'm really hoping that in the second book, because of the way that this ended, I'm really hoping that the second book kind of shows more action and more of the type of fighting that's going to happen in this. I also probably have said this a bunch, but it definitely is very Tolkien inspired. I feel like it's very hard not to compare this to Tolkien, especially because he was inspired by it, and you can tell there's a character in this book who reminds me a lot of a certain character in Lord of the Rings. And that one character, I remember listening to the audiobook and just being like, I don't remember his name, the character from Lord of the Rings, but I was listening to it and I was like, oh, this is literally that guy. Which, I mean, any fantasy, you can literally compare any fantasy and its elements to Lord of the Rings some way, somehow. And I think since it is such like a classic fantasy, that trope's gonna come up a lot. You're gonna have things that are nowadays kind of run over and overused. It's just going to be in these books because it wasn't then, and it was more of just like a classic setting, and also just like something that hadn't been run into the ground yet. And it's really interesting, and the setting up for the different characters and their powers and the dynamics that they have, I'm really, really hoping continues later in this series. And because there's classic tropes that I'm thinking of that could really ruin this book series for me, but there are also ones that could really liven it up. But yeah, this feels more like a prequel than it does the first book in the series. I think there is a prequel, by the way. I think it might be written by Brandon Sanderson. I have no idea. That I can't say whether or not yet if this series is worth getting through like the first couple of books, which is sad because this is kind of just like a thing that people watch to get recommendations. But if you really want to start this series, so you really want something that's like classic fantasy, some people find comfort in that type of classic fantasy and not having to explore all these new tropes and kind of be thrown into something that you can't really understand. This world is not, I wouldn't say simple, but it's definitely not as crazy as some other fantasy books can be. I also think that this is probably going to be one of the better written fantasy series, because his writing style is, I can see why Brandon Sanderson picked up the last couple of books. It's somewhat similar in it, or maybe that's just because they both write fantasy and my brain is just connecting them for some odd reason. This is definitely going to be like a really good, hearty fantasy series. I mean, I'm definitely going to read the second book. I am probably going to do Audible along with trying to read that book. And then A Memory Called Empire, I'm definitely going to try and finish next week. I don't know. Maybe it was this, maybe it was just the mood that I was in that has me in a book slump of not really wanting to like read anything. But anyways, thank you for watching, and I hope that this made sense at all, because I have truly just not been conscious at all this week. I don't know if I'm going to read book 3 or not. We'll have to see how good book 2 is. I'm also going to go book shopping next week, and it'll be at the end of next week, so I'll have new books after finishing the second book in this series, because I'll have new books that I want to read if I'll read the third book. We will have to see. Like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. Anyways, bye.